Hey, sports fans, let's talk some college football. We had a heck of an exciting week in college football, week and a half college football, however long we've had. It is Monday, and I'm going to talk a little bit about some of the games and how it affected my top 25, my irrelevant top 25, because I don't believe a top 25 means anything until about mid-season, because by then they've got some games under the belt. Alabama didn't prove anything to me. Because they didn't play anybody. Oklahoma proved a little bit. Defense, they got half a defense because they played good in the first half. Iowa State didn't really prove anything to me. Iowa State proved to me I might have overrated them, is what they proved to me. But anyway, it's early in the season. Iowa State may be fine. Ohio State may be fine. Oklahoma may be in trouble. We don't know. It's one game. So making a top 25 before that is just crazy, but I did it anyway. And then making a top 25 after one game, that's like looking at a 7-year-old looking at 7-year-olds and saying, hey, that 7-year-old over there, that's going to be my wife. It may not work out, buddy. That's how this top 25 is. It may not work out. Who you thought was going to be a great wife might be somebody you don't even want to mess with. It's the devil herself. So that's how the top 25 works early in the season. Let's talk about my top 25. And mine is not exactly like anybody else's, I don't think. I've got some teams in there, other places, other top 25s. They're like, nah, they're not there. And I got some they got in there that I'm like, nah, not there. Anyway, Oregon dropped out. They were 24th last time, and they dropped out. And they lost a tough game, and I don't think they should drop a lot. They're still on the verge of being top 25, but you're going to drop a little bit. And I had them at 24, so I didn't have them ranked as high as some of the others. So they dropped out. But Wisconsin came in and took their place. Let's just hit top 25 here. Number 25, after a tough loss, Miami lost to Florida by 4 points. They took a nosedive. They were 14th last time. They dropped to 25. And that may be too much of a drop for them. May not be enough. I don't know. It's one game. They're 25. 24, newcomer to my top 25, Wisconsin. They had a decent week and of playing nobody state. So I think they played Miami, Ohio. Somebody that wasn't that great, but gave them a game, and so they're at 24. 23, Syracuse moves up from 25 last in the preseason, my preseason poll, and they're at 23. Iowa, despite the fact that they won, that's Iowa, not Iowa State. Iowa moved up one spot to 22. Washington moved up one spot to 21. USC dropped from 16 to 20 despite a win, but they lost their starting quarterback. So I just don't see them staying there. But they're at 20 right now. Stanford moved up to 19 from 20. Nebraska stays at 18. They didn't really impress me that much. A win's a win though, so. Better to win one than lose one, so they stay where they're at. UCF moves up 2 spots from 19 to 17. Penn State moves up from 21 to 16. You score 70 on somebody, I don't care who it is, you got to think that maybe they're going to be all right. Let's see, at 15, Iowa State dropped from 12. Beating Northern Iowa and taking 3 overtimes to do it and beating them by a field goal. You're still in the top top 15 of the nation. It could have very easily been taking a nosedive here. So maybe it's just a hiccup and they'll get better. Maybe that's as good as they are. It's one game. We'll see. Texas fans, you're moving up. You moved from 17 to 14. Still don't believe in you. We'll find out though, because you got a tough game coming up pretty soon. So you prove it to me. I honestly, I want Texas to be as high as they can. This is the fan in me. I want them as high as they can be. So when OU knocks them down, they knock them down and make them cry. That's my opinion. But the non-biased person says, Texas, you're all right, but I don't think you're considered a national championship contender. So I think 14 is a good spot for you. 13 is Auburn, moved up to 15 after beating Oregon, moved up a couple spots. At 12, we got Michigan State. Let me look here. Where was Michigan State last week? They moved up one spot. Number 11 is LSU. LSU dropped a couple spots. I still think they're a possibility for a top 10 team. Contenders in the Southeastern Conference, but I just wasn't all that impressed with them. Dropped a little bit to number 11. And at 10 is Utah. Utah just stayed the same. There was no move there. Florida moved up. Florida beat what was in my top 25. And I think they get rewarded for that. They moved up past a few people from 11 to number 9. Michigan stayed the same at number 8. Ohio State dropped from 5 to 7. They didn't really prove anything to me. So these rankings are very fluid right now. Just make sure you're aware of that. And it don't matter what you rank now. What matters is what you rank at the end. And honestly, my rankings don't matter no matter what, because I ain't got no say in who wins national championship. But I'll tell you, I got a say in who I think should, and I'll tell you about that. All right. Washington State moves up one spot to number 6. Notre Dame moved up to number 6, and they play tonight, which I don't think that's going to be a really good game because they play Louisville. But it's not going to be a really good game and a really good test for what Notre Dame has, because Louisville's kind of on the downside right now. So we'll see. Oklahoma, despite the fact they impressed me in the first half with their defense, their offense didn't miss a beat. Switch quarterbacks, still go. It's one of those insert quarterback here, still get results. Hurt did prove to me that he can throw the ball a little bit, and I kept hearing things about, he can't throw the ball to the left, and I've seen him, and he couldn't. Looks like it's been fixed, though. What, he missed 3 passes all game? Set a school record blew it away by over 100 yards. Total offense. First player in Oklahoma history to have 300 yards passing, 150 yards rushing. To me, that says he's good to go. And there were a lot of times when he ran the ball that I'm thinking he can get 5-6 yards. He'd bust up through there for 20 or 30. So, I think he adds a dimension. Passing is going to get easier for him because the teams are going to say we got to stop him from running the ball, and they're going to spy him and they're going to do different things, and they're not going to rush him quite as hard. Heck, he had all day back there. And Houston's not a great defense. Don't get me wrong, they're not, but they're a legitimate team. I had them just outside of my top 25. So, excuse me. So I think that's a team to watch, and I think he did it for the first game of the year. I was impressed with Oklahoma. Didn't move them up any, but still. The rest of basically the top 4 stayed the same. Oklahoma 4, Georgia number 3, Alabama number 2, Clemson number 1. And none of those teams really played. The top 3 played anybody worth recognizing, but in the national scene. But it's early in the year. We'll see how it goes after this. After 1 week's down, Notre Dame still plays tonight. They can move up or down, depending on what happens there. I don't see them moving up a lot next week, but who knows what's going to happen in front of them. But even if they beat Louisville by 40, honestly, that's what should happen. So if you're a top 5 team like I have them ranked, then you ought to beat somebody that is coming off a bad year by 40. And if you don't, something's wrong. But hey, a win's a win. That's what I look at it. Win, drop down a little bit, and move to next week. And then later on, every one of these teams is going to play a tough team. And if you beat the tough teams and you beat the teams you should beat, you're going to be where you need to be. So that's the basic thing. It's just win. Just win. All right? Can't wait for the next one. Some surprises this week. Let's talk about some surprises. Tennessee was not a top 25 team. But for them to get beat like they did at home, that tells me they're in trouble. And that's one of the reasons I don't really respect the SEC as much as some people do, because the top of the SEC is loaded. Alabama alone is loaded every year. But it's that, does the middle team scare you? Do the lower teams, can they come out and beat you? Are they going to be decent? Well, no, they're not. Not in the SEC. The bottom teams don't scare you at all. The bottom teams are no better, as we saw here, than the non-Power 5 teams. You have a stadium with 100,000 people in it to watch you play a home game. You better win most of those. And this wasn't like they lost to Alabama at home or something like that. They got beat, and by a team they should not beat them. So if I'm a Volunteer fan, I'm not happy. So they got to get this thing turned around, because it's not going to get any easier for them, not at all. So they better figure it out. That one surprised me. There are a few others that were good games, not the best games as far as just being good football, but it's the first week, and it's one of those where you just survive that first week, and you got something on film. Now you can look at it. Every team that played so far, they got film they can look at and see things they need to improve. But I'm just glad football's back. I'm ready for next weekend. See some good games again, and maybe a few. I'm looking forward to the next Texas game. I'm looking forward to seeing that one. There's a lot of good football this next weekend, and I can't wait. I'm ready to go again. You guys be safe out there. Have a good rest of your holiday weekend, and if you're out somewhere, be safe going home. All right, you have a good one.